my name's Osama Moscati. I'm a resident assistant at Commons West, formerly Commons South, and I'm going to be talking today.
Hello, I'm Sarah. So I'm a senior right now at University of Illinois Chicago, and my current position is a peer mentor in campus housing, and that's what I've had since the beginning of my sophomore year to now my senior year.
My name's Vinny Parisi. I'm a peer mentor currently for Common South, 3rd and 2nd floor. I serve JST C Tower, 3rd and 4th floor. Major kinesiology, specializing in movement science.
Hi, I'm Kavetta. I'm an electrical engineering major, and I was a desk worker, a summer housing assistant, a peer mentor for 2 years, and now I am the senior peer mentor of Commons North, South, and West.
Hi, my name is Alex Suarez. My major is industrial design, and this year I am a senior resident assistant for leadership. My first year at UIC, I was a desk worker, and then for the following 2 years, I was an RA. It's gonna sound a little cheesy, but my previous RA, he actually, when I came to UIC, I was like alone. I didn't really have friends from like my hometown or anything, so it was like a new experience. And he actually pushed me to like attend more events and like interact more with people, and that really helped a lot.
So, I actually went through my friend's registration when she was training, I was there with her, but people around her kept saying, Kavetta, why didn't you apply? Why aren't you doing this? I can see you in this role really well, helping people. So the next year I applied. I applied late. I barely reached the deadline of midnight, and that was because of another friend.
Getting involved, becoming involved within the campus, not specifically housing to begin with. It's just a heavy role, something to be involved with, something that would look good in the future and would also leave me with experiences.
You know, I like the idea of having a role in like the growth of first year students. My personal experience, I kind of felt like I wish I had somebody to mentor me. I did have a peer mentor, but she wasn't as, I guess, I don't know, I didn't necessarily see her as much. So I felt like I really wanted to help other first year students based on my own experience, because I feel like we all need a support system, and having somebody there to kind of just reinforce that they want you to be successful it's really beneficial.
So what motivated me to apply for this position was basically the opportunities I was going to get granted to be in this sort of leadership role. More or less, I saw like my RA and PM had a big impact on me and my first year staying in housing and feeling welcomed. And I wanted to give back to my community, to give others the opportunity that they gave me in order to like basically not just excel, but also like rise and feel like accepted within their own community.
Thank you. The most unexpected thing I needed help with is probably interacting with residents for the first time. I wasn't entirely sure how to go about different personalities. I wasn't much of a talker when I was younger. Still not much of a talker, but the social aspect of, okay, not only do I need to get them to trust me, I need to also get them to open up to me. So that was a little difficult at first, but it came naturally, eventually.
The surge of the amount of things that could be due at once, or amount of deadlines that just coincided, just getting everything in a plan together first, that was probably the biggest thing we need help with, and then sometimes just the sheer magnitude, the amount of work.
I didn't realize how like taxing of a job this is to like you basically live where you work. And I didn't realize how like taxing that could be on like someone's mentality, and like I needed help in like achieving that balance.
I would say surprisingly just getting connected to resources on campus.
I guess like dealing with the different types of residents that you may have, like they could be chill for like 1 second, but then like the next week they're like, they just cause so much havoc.
MapWorks. I'd say MapWorks, my second year with Common South would have definitely been it. There was a huge increase compared to my first year in JST with the amount of interactions that had to be done, and as well as the amount of residents I was accountable for.
Dealing with certain situations, I guess, kind of like training, we do the behind closed doors, which helps a bit. But then there's like once you're in that moment, it's like I wish there was like a tag along person that you could like sub in and out for that has that experience.
So, I wish I would have listened when people told me to take care of myself. You spend so much time thinking about other people, taking care of other people, making sure that they're okay, that their grades are okay, that sometimes you put yourself on the back burner, which isn't healthy. You get burned out really easily. And how can you help others when you're not helping yourself?
So, a good mentor, in my opinion, is someone who would give you the opportunities to make mistakes, but also give you like the resources to learn from them. So, like that's an example of a good mentor. A bad mentor would be someone who like tries to force like the specific way of doing things, or try to be like, hey, you have to do it this way. There's no other way. Like in contrast to that, like a good mentor would be like, oh, you could do it this way, and this way, or I want to see how you want it, like you think of it. So, because in that aspect, you learn more from your mistakes rather than your successes, and having like multiple ways of doing things is like a big help.
To me, a good mentor is somebody who knows how to listen, somebody who actually listens more than they speak, because being a mentor means you have a variety of students with a variety of backgrounds, and on the surface it may appear like they're struggling academically, but there's a lot of other underlying issues that you don't necessarily, you wouldn't understand unless you actually listen to them. So, being a peer mentor this year, I realized that, over the years, there's so many issues, whether it be financial, whether it be emotional, whether it be something with their health. There's so many issues that you really need to like just give the students a chance to confide in you, so that you kind of understand you get a more holistic understanding of why they're struggling academically. So on the converse, a bad mentor is somebody who just doesn't listen.
I think the most important thing is visibility and willingness to help. How can you mentor someone when you're never around, when you're not there? I feel like if you're willing to be there for the people you're supposed to be mentoring, and you're setting a good example for them, even when no one's watching, if you're leading by example all the time, then that makes a good mentor. Well, there was this one mentor who was having trouble interacting with students. Same thing I dealt with. So I felt like I was in a good position to help out. Basically, they felt they were awkward when talking to these residents. They didn't know how to connect with them on that I'm your mentor, but I'm also your peer level. So we sat down. We had a few talks about this, actually. It was mainly just giving them the encouragement, giving them the motivation, letting them know that, you can do this. You just have to keep doing it. Motivation. Wow. Okay. Yes.
I guess like there was one night in which I got a call for a situation that I wasn't fully prepared for. But then when I went and showed up to the floor, I was helping another RA that it was her first year and it was my second year. So I sort of had to like not let like my face show that I was nervous too. So I kind of like owned that situation and helped her out.
My second year as a peer mentor, having had experience, a lot of the peer mentors didn't necessarily know how to divide their time in speaking with all their students. And that's something that I struggled with my first year. I didn't necessarily know like what was the best way to, reach out to them, what was the best way to schedule meetings. For me, I personally was most successful when I just knocked on all the students that I had to, knocked on each of their doors. That for me was very helpful, because it was one thing to send an email and then not get a response, but then it was another thing to actually physically go to their room, knock on the door, and like they would be there, or they weren't there, tell the roommate. So that was a lot more effective, and that was some advice that people took pretty well.
So I'd say at the beginning of the year, just helping the staff get to know one another. We played a few games outside, just actually becoming sociable with one another, becoming friends, so that when you're in the workplace, everything's actually easier to ask someone to cover a desk shift, to ask someone to help you with a certain problem. You don't feel like you're approaching an employee or something. You're approaching your friend. It makes everything easier. Mentorship, sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it, and you could be impacting someone in a way that you don't realize it. You could be putting on a tutoring session that helps someone greatly, and they'll thank you for it later, and you didn't even realize what you were doing was a huge thing, or that maybe you helped someone with the smallest problem to you, but to them it was number one issue in the world right now. So just always be aware of what you're doing, be aware that you could be helping someone at any point, and just carry on with that.
Be their most authentic self. One thing that peer mentors run into is feeling like they have to be perfect, feeling like when they're giving advice to residents, they have to pretend like, oh, I'm the best student, and now I'm going to make you the best student. I'm going to literally show you that I studied all the time, I went to my professor's office hours, I did this, I did that. You really have to realize that it's important to humanize yourself when it comes to mentoring other students, because that way they can relate to you more, and they can see you as somebody that, you know, they struggle too, but look at where they are now. So I would just say to not be afraid to let your residents know that you did make mistakes along the way of being a student, but you were able to overcome them and be in that leadership role that you have today.
Don't force your own opinions on others. Definitely let them, like, if you're mentoring someone, let them do mistakes. Not like if it's a mistake that's gonna that's really drastic or like cost them their job or something. Don't let them do that mistake. But if it's something small, don't be afraid to let them do that mistake so that they can learn from it. Because, like, if you tell them how you did things, that worked for you, but that's not necessarily going to work for them specifically. They have to figure out their own way and their own method of, like, their own work habits and their own, like figure out their own quirks in order to, like, become a better leader or student leader.
It's about leading by example. I feel like people are always watching you, even when you don't think they're watching you.
It's been fun. It's been a fun 2 years. I enjoyed it. Got a lot of memories.
I wish you the best of luck. Enjoy your time. It's definitely fun, even though it could be stressful at times. But you got this.
First off, congratulations. Secondly, this is an experience. It's a good experience. And it's a better experience if you choose to make it that way.
The one parting thought I'll be is, like, I'm going to miss it. Like, yes, like, the job is a lot, and yes, there's a lot of, like, sleepless nights, on call and all that, but honestly, you don't get this opportunity anywhere else. Like, you deal with situations that no one would dream of, and it better prepares you for, like, almost every aspect of, like, the working life or anything other than that. So I'm thankful for it.
You know, I would just say that these past 3 years as a campus housing staff member have been very rewarding. I would say to me, it's invaluable because it's definitely shaped the way that I see other people. And, like, because I'm graduating, I've definitely, like, attributed a lot of my growth as a person to this role, just because it's allowed me to understand people. It's allowed me to be more sympathetic. And I really believe that in order to serve people, you have to really be able to understand them. So I really just want to say thank you to campus housing and just to the students that I was able to mentor and get to know.